Hi there, this is 1 Year On. I'm Alison. And following on from episode 15, today's episode is about the employee assistance programme that I had access to and how it helped me. I'm fortunate that my employer has an employee assistance programme which we can access whenever we need it. They are particularly good as they have counsellors and psychologists available quickly. You just have to phone up and they arrange someone for you for an in-person or a telephone conversation. They cover the cost of 4 to 6 sessions for each particular issue you have, and your family can also access its services too. The sessions are confidential, and for me, my employer doesn't even know you are accessing the service. When I was in hospital, the nurse told me that I had to look after my emotions, as it would be a very emotional experience and can bring some big emotions, and that depression is a very real prospect. I totally discounted her. I was thinking, how is that even possible? How can this be? And then you will remember when I spoke of the panic attack I suffered and the hours of sobbing the day before. It was totally an emotional experience. Stroke is totally an emotional experience. The reality of the situation and coming to terms with that, it's a massive grief process with all the roller coasters that it brings. Complete shock, numbness, denial, emotional outburst, anger, fear, disorganization, panic, guilt, loneliness, isolation, depression. They're the really difficult ones. Re-entry troubles, new relationships, new strengths, new patterns, hope, affirmation, and to this podcast, helping others. I have been through all the stages, although I don't believe depression or clinical depression was one of them. I was all of a sudden wrenched from my normal daily life of work and activities and stuck in a hospital and then at home, away from the people I liked seeing, to seeing only my family. That in itself was a huge adjustment. I didn't choose this path. It was forced upon me. And change is not an easy thing. I had no warning or time to prepare for such a significant change. I couldn't drive myself to the shops or activity or my work. I was reliant on someone else for everything. And that's even before the enormity of a stroke is dealt with emotionally. There was a large amount of fear, of terror even, firstly of having another stroke, then about what caused the stroke, and how to contemplate life after stroke, getting back to work, considering if I ever would work again and what that would look like. It did become clear that I would need counselling. My second visit to the hospital when I had the panic attack was the tipping point at which I made that decision, and I spoke to my GP about it. She was happy I could access the EAP quickly, as accessing psychologists in my city can be very slow, as they are so oversubscribed. Finding out what to do was a little bit difficult. I had to firstly download an app and then log into it, and there were quite a few steps, which could be easier really. Then I had to call up a call centre. The staff there were very good, but you're dealing with those phone menus that are not easy. Remember, that was something I struggled with a lot in the early days. It was good, and they got me someone quickly who was interstate and on the phone, so I didn't need to go anywhere and organise transport. I had to get into a comfortable spot and be in a quiet space. That's all I had to do. Often that was in my room or the kids' den when they were at school. The psychologist explored my situation and how I felt helpless, how I felt like I'd lost a lot of my capability, and how I struggled to think, struggled to do things that I did before without even consciously thinking about it. She had tears, sobbing, and I'm sure she's heard it all before. She was very sweet. We got around to talking about my job, and she got me to do homework and consider what bits of my job I thought I could still do, and what bits I could do, and what bits I could not do. I really struggled with that, as I couldn't even really think what I did in my job. That was really confronting, to not even be able to remember the tasks I did in my job. She was also exploring my identity, as I was upset as I didn't really know who I was anymore. Much of my identity was built around my work. We explored them, when I would get back to work and how I was going to work, when I would choose to stop or not, and how I was being pressured by others. That I don't need to prove myself to anyone. We looked at things that were happening around me and the struggles that I was having with various things that I was encountering. She was an enormous support. The sessions came to a finish, and I would book another one for 2 or 3 weeks hence, and I would have liked to continue with her, as she was really wonderful. But the EAP is only supposed to be short term. You aren't supposed to rely on them for longer term issues. I needed longer term support, as getting back to normality wasn't going to be surpassed in a few weeks or even a few months. This was a long-term project of sorts. My GP wrote me a referral for another type of specialist, but we will explore that in a different episode. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe. I'll be back next time to talk about my getting back to driving. Thank you.